Afternoon, folks. Another one of my hobbies is amateur radio, and I've been into amateur radio for as long as I can remember. I used to play around with CB radios and things when I was a nipper. Talked to countries and stations all over the world on literally a handful of watts, 12, 15, 20 watts. So anyway, so this is amateur radio. Now, I'm using a program called Ham Radio Deluxe, and this is what you can see on the screen at the moment. This program here is controlling my radio, so if I adjust the frequencies on here, then it will adjust the radio. So I can do this and it moves the frequency up and down on the radio like so. So what we're going to have a look at today are some digital modes. And in particular we're going to have a look at a mode called FT8 and another mode called PSK31. So first of all, let's have a look at FT8. So let's make that go away. Let's bring the FT8 things up, and there we are. That's what we're looking at here. So what you can see here is over here we have, these are all the stations that are being heard. This is the frequency I'm on, 28.074 megahertz, upper sideband. These are all the stations that are being heard. These are the stations that are on my frequency. In fact, if I just put that back to 0, so we'll find a blank spot, and it's very difficult because it's quite busy today. Well, we're not too bad where we are. We can put it there. So this waterfall here, that shows me all of the stations within the bandwidth from 0 to 3000 hertz or 3 kilohertz. So I need to find a blank spot here so that I can call. So that looks quite good about there. This here shows me all the stations that are being heard on this band, and it'll also show me where I'm being heard as well. So if I click this button here, enable TX, then that will start transmitting and we will be able to hopefully work somebody. Over here this shows me the band activity. So the band I'm on, 10 meters, is quite busy. 15 meters, which is 21 megahertz, is quite busy. Not much going on 20, which is 14 megahertz. But anyway, let's put a call out, see what we can do. So I hit the enable TX, and when it gets to the end of the 15-second cycle, it will transmit. There we go. Yeah, you can probably hear a buzz there. That's the audio picking up the RF from the aerial. So we're putting about 100 watts out at the moment. And so now that's my call, and now we wait for 15 seconds and see if anybody comes back to us. We'll know if somebody does because they'll show up red over here. So we'll just wait and see, and if nothing comes back, then it will just call again. So nobody came back, so we call again, and eventually somebody will come back. And in a minute that this map over here will update itself, and you'll see a pink lines coming from here, which is where I am on the Isle of Wight. And you'll see pink lines radiating out, and these are people that have reported hearing me. So that will, in about 4 minutes time, will refresh. So we carry on calling CQ. Now these are very narrow band modes of operation. They're really designed for low power working. So for instance, with PSK31, as the name suggests, the bandwidth it uses is only 31 hertz. Now a normal audio signal, like I'm talking to you at the moment, will be around about 3000 hertz just for one audio channel. So you can see that by using PSK31, in that 3 kilohertz bandwidth that my audio would use, talking voice, I can get about 100 different channels within that. So it's very efficient mode, and you can do this on half a dozen watts quite easily. Now you can see some pink lines are starting to appear here. So I'm being heard here, which is in European Russia, and I'm also being heard over here in America. I'm not quite sure what state. There's Atlanta. So I'm being heard in Atlanta in the United States, and I'm being heard in Russia at the moment. So we'll just carry on putting out a few calls, and we'll see what happens. You never know, we might get somebody come back to us. That's the object of the game anyway. So what you can see going on here, CQ, that means I'm calling. G7RES, that's my call sign, and IO90 is my locator, which is an international locator square. You can see over here FN21, EM66, these are all internationally recognized locator squares. So anybody hearing me knows that I am on the south coast of England in this square here. So as you can see, it covers the south coast of England there. You can refine that even further by putting an extra 2 letters on the end of it. So here we go. Sierra Victor 1 stroke Sierra Victor 5 FRI. So that's Greece. And we can zoom in and we can see him here. Here he is. This is him here. And he is hearing me at 12 decibels below the noise floor, and I'm hearing him at 14 decibels below the noise floor. So it's a fairly weak signal, and we'll keep on trying. He's probably struggling to hear me here at the moment, and as you can see over here, this is the frequency I'm transmitting on here, that's the frequency I'm listening on, and there's a very strong signal there. So he may not complete. It doesn't matter, we can carry on. We'll give him 3 or 4 tries. But as you can see over here, we're hearing Greece, USA, Argentina, Ukraine. So we'll let him. So after 3 calls, if he doesn't come back, we'll go back to calling CQ and see if anybody else comes back to us. I can show you what this sounds like while I'm transmitting. It's not a particularly pleasant sound, but if I switch voice meter on and switch this on, in a minute you'll hear the signals. They're just a horrible warbly noise. So that's basically what's being transmitted by myself and the other stations. And that's the 15 seconds up. So we get rid of voice meter, we don't need to see that anymore. So let's just change frequency here, put my signal in that gap there, and we'll see if anybody comes back. I mean, normally you get some, and at the moment the bands are quite open because we're coming up to the sunspot maximum, which will be in 2025. But as you can see, I'm being heard all over the place now. You can see I'm being heard right over here in the Midwest, Wyoming. Somebody in Colorado's heard me. Somebody in, is that Washington? I don't know. WA, who knows? Yeah, so I'm being heard there as well. I'm also being heard here in Milwaukee, down here in Atlanta, down here in Tallahassee, in New York, up here in where's that, Maine. So yeah, all the pink lines are where I'm being heard. I'm being heard in the Azores. I'm being heard all over Europe here. So these are all stations that are connected to the same server that I'm connected to here. When they hear me, I'm automatically reported to the server, and then it comes up on the map here, so I can see where I'm being heard. Down here in the Canary Islands, right over here. Where's that guy? Edmonton in Canada. So we'll just keep calling, see what happens. Somebody may or may not come back to us. If not, we can always change to a different band. This guy here, Charlie Oscar 8, he's in Cuba. I worked him many years ago on PSK31, but he's not hearing me, which is down here. If he was hearing me, there'd be a pink line coming from there to there. But he's not hearing me. I'm hearing him, but he's a very weak signal. He's 23 decibels below the noise floor, so he's fairly weak. Yeah, so the buzzing noise you can hear, if you can hear it, is the RF being picked up by the audio interface, which is a Focusrite interface. A USB interface is very good. Seems to work quite well. Oh, I'm being heard right down in the Falklands now. Look, you can see somebody down here has heard me down in the Falklands. So that's Victor Papa 8 ADR, 7,801 miles away. So my signals are being heard down in the Falkland Islands as well. But it doesn't look like anybody's going to come back. Oh, there's somebody there on my frequency. You can see up here, look, you can see there's signal there. Somebody coming back, maybe. No, he's not calling me. Let's try here. Let's move up to this frequency here. There's a nice blank spot there. We'll give it a go, see what we can do. In a minute, we'll have a look at PSK31. PSK means phase shift keying, and it's a signal that's only 31 Hertz wide. The difference between that and this FT8 is you literally on this FT8 you just exchange signal reports and that's it, you're done. With PSK31 you can actually have a keyboard to keyboard contact, so you can sit there and type to the guy on the other end and have a chat, have a natter. So let's see if anybody comes back on this frequency. You never know, we might be in luck. There's a very strong signal just popped up next to me there, look. But we'll try and get a contact. So I'm also being heard in South America, all over the United States and Canada. People are hearing me down in the Falklands. So there we go. There's somebody in Brazil, another guy in Brazil, another guy in Brazil. So I've worked this particular area of Brazil before. I've not worked that place and I've not worked there. All these yellow squares are places that I've actually worked and have been confirmed that I've worked them. So we'll just plug on for a couple more minutes and see if we can get a contact here. You never know. It's a bit like fishing. You sling your bait out and you just wait. I mean, I do like talking on amateur radio as well. I you know, will quite often fire the microphone up and actually have a chat to somebody. Another aspect of it that I like is a thing called slow scan television, where you can load a picture up, a photograph that you took, for instance, and then you can transmit that, and it's a series of audio tones. It makes a wobbly noise, but it comes up as a colour picture on the other guy's computer at the other end. So that's quite good fun as well. But it doesn't look like anybody's going to come back to me for some reason. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We could try. If we switch on CQ only, then we'll only see the people that are calling CQ. And then we can double click on one of those and try and call them. And see if they come back. But this is what it's all about. It's all, you know, kind of hit and miss, really. So these people are calling CQ. I'll switch this on here. So all of these people here are calling CQ. So we'll give this guy KE0PX a call. So all I need to do is double click on him, like so, and you can see it's been transferred over here. And then I will start calling him in 7 seconds or so. There we go, that's me calling KE0PX, and he is in, where is he? Difficult to see. I'm looking for a red line. I can't see it. But he might come back to us, you never know. Oh, he's working another guy in the USA at the moment. So like I say, all these pink lines are stations that have heard me. So let's see if he hears us now. The other guy's just signed off with him there, RR73. Roger, Roger, best wishes, that means. So we'll see if this guy can hear us, you never know. Now he's calling again, so there we go. Let's see if we can hear him. Or he can hear me, I should say. So we just sit and wait for 15 seconds and see if he comes back to us. If not, we can always move on to somebody else. The green person there, this guy, I've worked him before. No, so I don't think he can hear us. So we'll try somebody else. Let's try this guy in Russia. Uniform Alpha 6 X-Ray Yankee. He's somewhere in Russia, we'll find out. He's in European Russia, so he's kind of Western Russia. We'll see if he can hear us. No, he's not hearing us. Well, let's put out a CQ then. We'll just call him again and see if he can hear us. So basically what we're seeing here, these are all the stations that are calling CQ. These are all the stations I've heard on my frequency. This thing here shows me the distribution of stations across the 3 kilohertz of bandwidth that we have here. So the bright red ones obviously very strong stations, the paler ones very weak stations. I'm transmitting here and I'm listening here, but he's not hearing us, so let's put out a CQ. Again, we'll find another blank spot because somebody's come on our frequency, so we'll stick it in there. It's always the same. You find yourself a nice clear frequency, and after 2 or 3 calls somebody jumps on it and then you haven't got a clear frequency anymore. So as you can see here, I'm calling CQ again, which is a general call, anybody hear me? And we'll see if somebody comes back. If not, we can always try a different frequency. I'll show you a picture of the radio I'm using shortly. It's an ICOM IC7300. It's a software defined radio. It's 100 watts. It goes from, well, receive goes from 30 kilohertz to 30 megahertz, and then you've got the 6 meter band, which is 50 megs, and the 4 meter band, which is 70 megs. So it effectively goes from 30 kilohertz to 70 megahertz. So this is the ICOM IC7300 7300. It's a software defined radio. I bought this from eBay just over a year ago. I paid just over £1,000 for it. It's a very nice radio, very easy to use, very intuitive. It's got touchscreen. You can actually make this radio work without reading the instruction manual, but it's good to read the instruction manual. Anyway, so that's the radio I'm using for PSK31 and FT8. On this button, I don't know if you can see this because I'm not looking at OBS, but that's logged. I can hit the OK button. That is now logged. So that has now gone into my logbook, which I can show you here. I have to switch all these other things off so you can see it. So there's the logbook. That's the guy I just worked. There we go. This is the guy I just worked here. Anatoly Savin, European Russia, 2,096 miles away. DXC country is 54. Mode is FT8. That's the signal sent. That's the signal received. The mode again, and the band. So that's FT8. Let's just put this all back up so you can see what we're doing here. So okay, so let's go and have a look at a mode called PSK31, and to do that, well, I will QSY or move frequency to 14 megahertz, 14.070 to be precise. So we'll just get rid of these off the screen here. We'll put this one up on the screen, and we'll select the frequency here, 14. We'll select the mode first, PSK31. We'll select the frequency 14.070. I'll just tune the radio, or tune the antenna rather. Now you can see here, these are stations that are chatting at the moment. Here we are, look, you can see them being decoded here. So I've worked both of these people, this guy OH4JPV and DB3FA. So this guy is in, I think, Czechoslovakia, and this guy's in Germany. Here's another strong station here, and this sounds kind of like this. It's, oops, wrong button. It's not a very nice sound either. So that's a signal that's only 31 hertz wide. Here's another station here. This guy's calling, so we can actually call this guy back. OE1KYA, and he'll come up in a minute and he'll say please K, PSEK, which means please K. He's in Austria. Please K. So I'll just send that. As you can see, that's now sending out, and it stops transmitting. He'll come back to me, hopefully. Here we go. Yep, got him. So this guy's in Austria. OM means old man. So I'll line up the next one to tell him. I know what his name is. His name is Kurt. And I send him the report, my name, my locator, QSL info, that kind of stuff. So there we are, he's done. We go back to, he goes G7RES to OE1KY, please K. And that's it. So now I can now hit the send button. And I'm sending this text down here. So he's 32 decibels above the noise floor, so it's a 599 signal. My name Gary, my location Isle of Wight. Echo Uniform 120, which is Islands on the Air. Locator IO90FQ, which is, as I say, the internationally recognised locator system. Giving him my info there, which is qrz.com, gives you my information. I've just doxed myself, but there we are. So back to you, Kurt, and then I'll start transmitting and he'll come back to me, probably with telling me what his station is. So I'll put the automatic frequency control on to keep him in the middle of the band. You can probably hear a fan in the background. That's the power supply. That's a 30 amp power supply. The radio draws about 20 amps when it runs at 100 watts. So he's in Vienna. My mate's going to Vienna in a few days' time. And that's his locator square, JN88FD, so he's 95.3 degrees away from me, 826 miles. 75 years old. So I can actually type to him and talk, so we'll do that. We'll just delete that. Is he coming back? Yeah, there's some more. That's not how you spell license, is it? So he's now telling me what his station is, the radio he's running, which is an ICOM 756 Pro 3. He's using 30 to 40 watts. And then he's telling me his antennas at the moment. So what's he using? He's using... Oh, there's some guy in Italy there. Oh, so he's using a magnetic loop. And now he's telling me his interface between the computer and the radio. The software he's using, MixW. Weather in Austria is 8 degrees plus, cloudy. And a slight breeze. So here we go back to him now. He's handing it over to me. And I can hit the send button like that. And this is all being done over radio. So I'm transmitting on, you can see the frequency up here, 14.070 megahertz, upper sideband, running about 100 watts peak envelope power, or PEP as we call it. So I'm now going to tell him my station. So he now knows where I am. So this is currently drawing a little under 20 amps out of the power supply. It's a 13.8 volt power supply, obviously. So yeah, I'm running 100 watts, so it's not necessary. I could probably do this on 20 watts or 25 watts quite easily. So I'm now telling him the radio I use, my interface, the computer I'm using, the software I'm using, which is Ham Radio Deluxe plus Digital Master 780, my antenna, which is a 10 meter end-fed antenna, tuner, the antenna tuning unit, which is an MFJ939, operator, what does it say here, licensed in I think 1993, I think it'll come up and say. QSL is okay via the Bureau. QSL card is an acknowledgement, which a lot of it's done over the internet now, but back in the day you used to actually send physical postcards to each other to say, yeah, we made the contact. So he comes back to me now. You can see it over here. See it here? This is him talking to me here, where it says M. So this is quite good. You know, I mean, I'm sending what are called macros at the moment. They're pre-programmed. I just select them and send them. But you can actually sit at the keyboard and actually have a conversation with somebody. My station does a good job. Look at that. Not bad, eh? I've just sent you some photos. So he sent me some photos in Vienna, so that would be in my email now. He has my email address, obviously. And I will send some pictures back to him as well. Which is good. This is what it's all about. So we'll go back to him. So I'll just wait for him to finish, and I can send this and send the 73s. And that'll be the end of this. Please stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. There we go. So that's my signal being sent there. So I will put at the bottom here my 73s. 73s means best wishes, or 73 means best wishes. 73s means best wishes, if you want to be pedantic. So I now have to go and hang on. Oh, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It moves on to the next one. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Might be able to get one in there though. No, it's not working for some reason. There we go. Try again. Sometimes it does a wobbly, this thing. There we go. Send that off to him. And there we are. So that's the QSO over. He may come back. We'll just wait and see if he does. Doesn't look like it. And there we are. So that's PSK31, which was very popular 15 years or so ago, but seems to have gone out of favour now because most people are playing on FT8, which is basically just exchanging signal reports. So there we are. So this is the ICOM IC7300 7300. It's a software-defined radio. I bought this from eBay just over a year ago. I paid just over £1,000 for it. It's a very nice radio, very easy to use, very intuitive. It's got touchscreen. You can actually make this radio work without reading the instruction manual, but it's good to read the instruction manual. Anyway, so that's the radio I'm using for PSK31 and FT8. This is the Alinco DR135DX. It costs about £200. It's a dual band radio. It will work on 11 meters and 10 meters, or you can set it up to work on 10 meters exclusively. I have mine set up to work on the CB bands, so it will cover from 25 megahertz to 28 megahertz. on all modes: SSB, AM, FM, CW. It puts out about 10 watts on AM and FM and about 25 watts on single sideband. Very good radio, very easily programmable. You can download the software off the internet. Just Google DR135DX software download, and you'll be able to find it. Very good radio, thoroughly recommend it. For the money, you can't go wrong. It's a very, very good radio, very good value for money. The next radio in my shack is the Xiegu G90. Now this is a radio from China. It's a software defined radio. It goes from 1 to 20 watts. It covers all bands, all amateur bands. You can open it up and make it cover CB bands as well, and every other band in between. So I bought this and it cost me £450, but it did come with all of the connections, the interfaces to connect it up to the computer to make it do digital modes. It also came with a carrying case. Now, the built-in ATU on this radio is amazing. You can plug a piece of wet spaghetti in the back of this thing and it will tune it up. Absolutely fantastic radio. I cannot recommend it more. If you have the money and the wherewithal to buy this thing, I thoroughly recommend getting it. It will run off of a 12-volt car battery. You can take it out, it will tune a K40. You can put a K40 on the car, it will tune it on any band. Absolutely brilliant radio, cannot recommend it enough. So that's basically my setup. The ICOM IC73100, the Alinco DR135DX, and the Xiegu G90. That's my shack, and I have a 10 meter end-fed wire antenna. I've worked all over the world on it. So you don't need to spend an awful lot of money to get a decent station. If you can stretch to £500, then you can get this G90. You'll be on the air working stations all over the world. Absolutely fantastic radio, cannot recommend it enough.